They have been for a while. We're two generations. They
Okay.
we had to do that. We're getting people we train them.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, he finds he's in
She lives right around us.
Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? My check, my check. Microphone check. Can everyone hear me in the back?
I am.
My check, my check. Microphone check.
Charlie Butt. You got roped in occasionally?
More than occasionally.
That's a, you got a choice.
And microphone check and camera one, can you give me?
You might see it on
Oh, really?
Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. All right.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Dave Castellano. I'm the president of CWA Local 4340. I appreciate everyone coming here tonight. I appreciate both Councilman Kelly and Justin Dibb in attending tonight. And most importantly, thank all of you for coming because this is all about you and the citizens of the city of Cleveland. Tonight's not a debate, but it is a forum. We did have some ground rules, which our moderator, Adrian Beams, the chairperson of Local 4340, the legislative chair will go over before we begin. I want to take one quick minute. We do have some soft drinks, water, coffee, and if you haven't found them yet, down that hallway, there are restrooms for everyone needs to use them. What we're going to do tonight, kind of like a Phil Donahue style Q&A. Adrian will be up here with both of our candidates to make sure time is kept. We have Joe Lilac here, who's helped organize this event to help us keep time. So we'll try to make sure time is kept and the rules are to both candidates before tonight, so everyone is. We appreciate Dennis Halter from Alter Audio in giving us this wonderful sound system and these fancy lapel microphones. Really helps you guys hear everything's going on. And then I have a wireless mic. Oh, it's made here in Cleveland, Slavic Village. Any questions about speakers? Dennis is right there. I'm sure I'll have it help you. And so I'm going to walk through the crowd tonight. If you do have a question, I ask you to raise your hand. We'll try to keep everyone in the order that they want to ask the question. And we're going to try to keep everyone, like I said, around time. But to start here, I'd like to bring up our chairwoman from the Political Legislative Committee, Adrian Nunes.
Good evening again, and thank you for coming. My name is Adrian. I'm the legislative chairperson for CWA Local 43. The format of the forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 2-minute opening statement and a 2-minute closing statement. A coin toss will determine who goes first. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to a question in the audience. The questions will come randomly from the audience in a Phil Donahue manner, requiring an assistant moderator to comb through the audience for raised hands. Please state your name before you ask a question, and please be respectful. There will be a timekeeper with a timer to enforce the established guidelines. Each candidate can be rest assured that they will receive equal time to respond to each question. We will begin with the coin toss. Very important. When the candidate's 2 minutes is up, the microphone will turn off automatically.
How would you like to do it? Is Council President Mr. Bish, who would like to follow this one? All right. Yes. Yeah. That throws good as a Super Bowl too. It is heads. It is heads.
I will say the good first to the Thank you. I'm only going to stand because I can't see you all, and I want to make sure that I see everybody. And it's great to be, we'll say, just outside of Old Brooklyn, so we're able to the Old Brooklyn Forum. But it's great to still be out tonight as we are 4 weeks away from the decision that's going to determine the next 4 years of the city. And when I look around this room, I see people that I have a lot in common with. You know, we go to our kids on the same schools. We use the same parks. I've seen it at the Crime Watch meetings. I've seen it at the Captain's meetings. And it's the type of involvement that we have built together that's kept our community strong. And we continue to keep our community strong. We have to really look at what can we do together. What if we really maximize the Brooklyn? We can take citywide. How can we look at our network of parks? We look at the improvements at Road Park, at Ardmore Park, at Henderson Park. We look at all the new soccer stadium we have, the improvements at the swimming pool at Road Park, which one on Brookside Park. How do you make sure that every neighborhood has the same park system that we have? How do we make sure that we have the outstanding networks of educational opportunities through our charter schools, through our local schools, and through our CMSD schools? We have a great K-8 portfolio. We need to keep that going. How do you make sure that has the relationship between the community of things that we do? How do you make sure that we assure safety? Because I know that the safety reports I get now are different than when I was first got out. I know it's changed. There was a time when I did not see it call for service of gun violence, for gunshots. That's changed. There have been times when we had very little activity in call for service And it has changed. Things are different. We need to take a different approach to crime. I'm gonna work with you to do that. We'll work with Commander Stockwell, we're setting district, and we are gonna solve this gun violence issue. We're gonna solve the increasing violent crime, and we'll start on day one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now we'll have Justin here.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good. Again, my name is Justin Bibb. I'm a native son of the Southeast Side. I grew up in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood on 121st and Dove. And I learned from my parents' example the importance of hard work and servant leadership. My dad was one of the first black firemen and cops in Cleveland Heights. He did both jobs for 35 plus years. My mom has been a social worker in this community, fighting for seniors for the last 2 decades. But through my own upbringing as a working class kid in this city, I've experienced my own fair share of pain. I've had to bury too many family members for the violence that we see in our city. I know what it's like to almost be evicted from my home, and thank God I had a praying grandma who had a house for us to go to in Mount Pleasant. And I've seen my uncle struggle to get a second chance when they came back home from prison. And through my lived experience, I've seen city government fail my family, but also seen what can happen when city government can work. You know, I've been fortunate to go to American University in DC to work with President Obama, got my JD and MBA from Case Western, and I spent the last 50 years of my career on the front lines for making communities better as an advisor and executive at Gallup and as an executive at KeyBank, helping to invest in small and medium-sized businesses all across this community. And I believe that now is the time for bold and dynamic, visionary leadership to move our city forward, to tackle crime, to make sure we have a modern and responsive city hall, and to make sure our young people have the tools and skills they need to compete in our economy. I'm looking forward to getting your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. We will now take questions from the audience.
Hi, my name is Sophia. Kelly, you had said something about getting the parks across, the city, like that Low Park and all that. I believe everybody here is going to say the safety is number one. And then number two would be taking care of the streets and the sidewalks. I mean, there's so many of them that are not very good at all. We've had a senior mother, we requested handicap sidewalks over and over and over and over, and nothing was done. So I believe those are the first two things. Then we can worry about recreation for kids.
Thank you for the question. You're absolutely correct. Safety is the most important issue, crime safety, we have to deal with. Nothing else we do will matter unless we make our streets safe. That is job one. I've got a safety plan I would encourage you to go to my website to learn more about. But we have to make sure we're giving police officers the training, the tools, the support that they need to do the hard job that they are. We do community policing with Commander Stockwell sets up with me when I run foot patrol, bike patrol, we need to talk to people, we need mini stations. We need to make sure that this community is strong. On streets and sidewalks, as council president, I tripled the budget for residential side streets. And introduced a program where the streets that are resurfaced, we did a 3D sidewalk program that's in its 4th year, but it makes a difference. So it'll happen the year after the street is resurfaced. But we're not started, we're giving up $4.4 million citywide for side streets. Now we're at 13, and we have a scientific database bunch of.
Yes, that's my thing. But in all seriousness, safety is the number one issue in our community right now. And we have a two-pronged problem we gotta fix. Number one, we gotta fix the culture. That's why as the next mayor, I intend to hire a police chief that's gonna make their number one priority for fixing the culture of our department, because we're losing too many officers right now in our department. Secondly, did you know that about 50% of our cops are walking the beat, and the other 50% are behind the desk? That makes no damn sense to me. And I believe as mayor, we should have at least 7% walking the street, visible, doing the patrols, doing the hard work of community policing, and the other 30% assigned to the desk and specialized units. The other thing I would say is this: we cannot continue to have a public safety only unit to solving violent crime. That's why, as mayor, I'm going to add a fourth option to 911 around mental health, and I want to embed social workers and mental health professionals to join our first responders for non-violent 911 calls. But we also need to do a better job of paying our officers.
And this reality is that they need to fight crime all across our city.
Anybody else going to get their phone going up? All right, I see your next young lady that is.
My name is Don Martin. My question is directed to both candidates, but kind of with a different slant because of the petition to permanently establish the Civilian Police Review Board. I would like to ask Mr. Bibb, what will be your first action if it does not pass? And Mr. Kelly, what will be your first action if it does pass? Does that make sense?
Thank you for the question. In the event that it doesn't pass, as mayor, I would do a couple things. Number one, I would establish a robust community conversation with our police people, with community activists, and with law enforcement officers as well, to really get to the root cause of what is causing the distrust that we see between police and our residents. I'm a son of a cop. I believe that as mayor, I can have the right tools to create a good culture of policing. That's critical. Secondly, we know that the consent decree is going to be up in 2 years. And this city leadership and administration has not done a good enough job of enforcing that consent decree. And we have a lot more work to do to make sure that we can lower the number of police misconduct claims in the city. We can and must do both. We can create a good culture of policing and make sure that every neighborhood feels safe and secure. We can recruit good cops that are respectful of how they try to work.
I'm glad you brought up this issue.
If I could just interrupt you, we had a complaint from the lights and they can't hear Councilman Kelly. If Dennis, if you can take a look at this.
What's that? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
We just want to give everyone an opportunity.
Better? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that the mic went on when this issue was raised, because issue 24 will make our streets less safe. You cannot say that we have a problem with losing police officers, because if issue 24 passes, there are about 300 that are retirement age, that have their 25 years, that we would lose right off the bat. This is something that we need to take we need to pay close attention to this. What happens when you take over $2 million and you give it to an appointed, unelected civilian board without any oversight? This would be less oversight. This would first please tomorrow. I have 30 seconds on to answer your question. I hope there's more questions on this, which is what would I do if I'm mayor and this passes? I, as mayor, will get signatures and I will start a campaign and petition to overturn it.
Hi, my name is Shannon, and this is kind of touching on the same thing. I was interested in issue 24 because it is going to be on the ballot in November. And I have a child, and I'm concerned about my family, so I really wanted to know in detail, both of you, what your thoughts were on it.
I'm gonna go. You know, as mayor, I'm willing to share power with the people if it allows us to get more community accountability around the police department. We spent nearly $40 million over the last 10 years selling to this conduct. So the current way that we're doing it is not working, first and foremost. Secondly, in every major city where we've done this, Camden, New Jersey, another example, Newark, New Jersey. In Newark, in 2020, they didn't have one incident of police misconduct in the country, in the city. And so we can get this right. Now, is the amendment perfect? Absolutely not. But this allows the mayor and city council to appoint 13 members that reflect the diverse voices in our community. Law enforcement has to be at the table, and families who've experienced police misconduct have to be at the table. And as mayor, I'm willing to share power with the people. It allows us to get better trust between our police and our residents. Without that trust, we can't have any safety.
Thank you. Like you, I'm a parent, and we worry about our kids' safety. That's job number one. I have 5 daughters, and we don't live in luxury apartments. We live in houses at street level, and we see crime at high level. Issue 24 would make our community less safe. And as we are here in a union hall, I will never support something over our collective bargaining rights. Those collective bargaining rights is not how I'm built, it's not how I operate. We need to do what is best for this city. Sometimes things are packaged a certain way. Don't use certain words like reform or oversight. But when you read the details, none of that's in there. It would lead to less reform, less oversight. Consent decree is working. Despite what people want to say about it, look at the decrease in the number of cases. Look at the decrease in the number of complaints. Look at how well we cleared the backlog of cases that were waiting for review in correctional services. We are making progress. The consent decree does not end in 2 years. It ends on substantial compliance with the judge says so.
Thank you. While I'm also interested, in how you feel about it, what do you have to back up what you're going to do? Have you been out in the community? I obviously know that, he's already stated, Councilman Kelly stated that he's been out and laid the rocks with police and everything. But this is more for Bill. I don't know a lot about you. I could do my research, but I think it would benefit all of us to know what you have to back that also.
Well, I've talked to many different officers in our departments. As a candidate for mayor, I've canvassed this entire city to talk to residents, and I'll tell you this, east side and west side, both want better public safety, but they also want more police accountability, first and foremost. And I've talked to many lawyers in the legal community about this issue. And it's a shame that we have to engage in personal attacks to talk about substantive policy differences in this campaign. That's the failed policies of the past that has gotten us to this point. And I will tell you this, it wouldn't have taken me nearly 16 years to find a new path, because look at where our city is. And so we need real, honest leadership. And every policy decision we make must be rooted in the lived experience of our residents. And when I'm talking to people in the city, they are sick and tired of not seeing individual accountability when we have these issues with misconduct. The current way we do it is not working.
So I've talked officers as well, and I haven't found one that's supporting this. I haven't found one that is not extremely concerned about this. And you talk about the past, for the past 16 years, we all have been on it together. And we see the progress that's happened. And we know what we're doing. I don't know where you've been for the past 16 years. I don't know about your resume. But people here know about mine. But again, let's focus on the issue here. Would this make our community more safe? I believe no. I do not support anything that would defund the police. I don't support anything that would make our streets less safe. And if you said you talk to lawyers, I also haven't talked to a lawyer that has come to the conclusion that the collective bargaining clause doesn't make this whole thing contrary to law. So that's just my take.
My question is,
State your name, please, sir.
here, my question is, goes to, I want to know where you've been in office for what, 16 years?
16 years.
16 years. I know you've seen the city in that part go down, right? But you've been there. Tell me why should I cast a vote for you now as mayor? Have you been in the same, with the same people, associated with the same people, doing the time?
Sure.
And I never seen the progress. All I seen was decline. I went from Denver to back here, came back, it's still decline.
If you're not seeing, Okay, if you're not seeing progress, you're not looking everywhere. We need to take a look around what's happening. You know, if we talk about the developments that happen in the city of Cleveland, look at what we've done with the mortality of lead poisoning. The fact that we came up with a program that's about council that needs to defend the citizen justice court. Look at the Glen Village project in 150 in Nashville. Go to 121 Larchmere. Take a look at what's happening in Hull. Take a look at the developments happening in Hull. Over $500 million invested in Hull. Look at the developments happening in London, as I said, but that's just the start of it. What's happening on West 25th Street across from Medical Hospital. There is a lot of great things happening, and we've done a lot of great things. Are there challenges? Absolutely. That's why we need a mayor who's ready to lead on day one and to build on the job training. We have a lot to do. This is a critical time in the city's history, and we have to make sure that our mayor is ready to be mayor on day one.
About where has Justin been for the last 6 years? Well, and I would say this, I did what my parents wanted me to do. I went off to college and got a scholarship to go to American University in Washington, D.C. and study urban studies. As a working class kid from the Southeast side, I got a scholarship to study finance and economics at the London School of Economics. But I came back home and worked in county government to make our community better. I was an executive at Gallup and worked with mayors all across the country to figure out how do you better use data and technology to make cities better. Sherrod Brown believes I'm ready to be the next mayor. The Plain Dealer believes I'm ready to be the next mayor. Many unions, like ASCII, I see how you believe I'm ready to be the next mayor. And on the last primary, 3 weeks ago, the majority of voters said, I'm ready to be the next mayor. I'll let the voters decide on November 2nd.
Thank you. Next question. Well, my name is Jackie, and my question is for both of you. What do you plan on doing while the dirt bikes and four-wheelers around the city?
Thank you. Yeah.
Message needs to go out to all those that are riding to our neighborhood on their front, breaking the law, intimidating motorists. Your days are numbered. This is going to stop when I'm here. This is something that I'm working with committee with our strategy to do it. We have not given the police enough authority to pursue the needed guidance on terms of what's needed, or excuse me, what is pursued. We need to do that. We need to let the police do their jobs in stopping these dirt bikes, stopping those that are creating unsafe conditions for both the dirt bike riders and the motorists is not acceptable. And when I drive by the second district, and I'm looking work, I see people doing this done right in front of the second district building. That just makes my blood boil. That is going to stop the days of number. I'm going to be on.
Number one, we should be enforcing the laws that are on the books right now, and we're not. Number two, I think we should be looking at how do we ensure we have some kind of license in place for these vehicles so we can track them to make sure that they aren't committing breaking the law in the city of Cleveland. Thirdly, I would say this: we got to do a better job in the city of investing in young people and giving them recreational opportunities to do all across our community. It's sad that our parks aren't well programmed. It's sad that when you go to the rec center, particularly on the east side, there's not a lot of programming. I was at the Lineberg Rec Center a couple weeks ago, and I was just ashamed that there's not many young people involved in out of school time programs in our community. We got to meet the whole needs of our children, and I think it starts there.
Thank you. Do you have another question?
My name's Carol, and my question is, I'm not happy with Mayor Jackson, haven't been for a while. Now Mayor Jackson's backing you, so do I have to look forward to more of Mayor Jackson's politics with you as my next mayor? That's what scares me half to death.
So let me begin by saying that whatever you think about Frank Jackson, I would suggest to you that nobody questions whether he's an honorable man. Nobody questions whether he cares about the city of Cleveland. Nobody questions that he's got integrity. And that's why I'm accepting his endorsement, and that's why I'm running his endorsement. Is it going to be the same? Absolutely not. Things are going to change at day one. If It starts at the top, it starts with the captain I'm gonna hire, and it's gonna begin on day one. There is, we get to, from public safety, building housing, to health, to, the utilities department, everything is going to change. Because she's endorsing, that doesn't mean that, it's gonna be another term. Things will change, things are gonna change on day one, and it's gonna be a bold, aggressive change, and you're gonna see it in you.
It's Justin responding.
Hi, my name is David Wolski. I'm glad you brought up collective bargaining. Councilman, I have a question about that actually. You've been the chair of the finance committee in the city of Cleveland since 2014. Since 2016, the city of Cleveland has a rainy day fund, the Greater Rainy Day Fund, that has about $37 million in reserves. Here at CWA, we represent the EMS cabinets for the city of Cleveland. They have not had a raise since 2016, and they had ongoing contract disputes, and they had to do multiple lawsuits initiated by the city against the union. How can you justify not giving raises to Cleveland EMS employees for over 5 years now?
Thanks for the question. Let me just make sure we understand just a little bit, a few facts about the city government. The $38 million is a really low number for a $1.7 million operation to have during the day. It's, but it is available. In terms of the EMS cap, I am very much aware of that situation. But as a president of council, the way collective bargaining works, all we can do is go up or down. We are prohibited from inserting ourselves into negotiations. We are prohibited. I do not have the authority to settle that contract. I do not have the authority to say we can't pay it forward. There are very strict laws about that. But the question when I say I met with Dave in my office, I'm going to talk a lot, everything about this situation, and I've done everything that I'm legally permitted to do to push that issue forward. The trust when I say, look at my labor record, look at my history of collective bargaining, it is an A plus.
I talked about the nearly $40 million we spent over the last few years trying to settle business conduct claims, but you would be surprised how much money the city wastes in outside law firms trying to settle negotiation agreements with other unions. And our labor unions deserve a fair shake in the boardroom at the negotiation table. But we can't keep paying these outside law firms when we have a competent law department to handle these cases in-house. And imagine how much money we could be saving to give you that raise and to give many of our central workers the raise they deserve as they kept the city going during this pandemic with competent management inside City Hall. And as Einstein once said, doing the same old is what? It's insanity. We can't afford more of the same, right? And so in this moment, we need the mayor who can, on day one, turn around the culture and bring some fresh perspectives inside city government to make sure we can meet the moment for our city.
We're moving on to another question.
Hi, yes. My name is Josh Maxwell. I live in Old Brooklyn, and I came to Cleveland, living in Stuart, for college and have stayed since then. But I'm finding myself more and more thinking about what is keeping me here. And as a young entrepreneur looking to for the next chapter in my life for an investment, what makes Cleveland that place? And year after year, our city's population declines. It doesn't increase, it decreases. So what are some of the signs that I should be looking for to keep me around? What are your plans to increase the city population and to retain our citizens?
What's your question for Brody? Thank you.
Thank you. Like Ken Clinton, you made the right choice, and hopefully this will be your city for life. But we really have to look at people come to Cleveland, people stay in Cleveland for jobs. We have to look at the core of our economy. And right now, the core of our economy is wage, because we have too many open available high-paying jobs and not enough people to fill them. That is causing a great chilling effect on the creative industries and investment in Cleveland, because jobs aren't going to come to Cleveland, business aren't going to come doors for them to fill, to fill those jobs that they create. The Amazon example was to me, a complete waste of civic energy. The reason they even shortlisted us is because we didn't have, we looked for jobs that they might work. I think that we have in many ways won the livability in terms of having a way, having Playhouse Square, having our sports teams, having all the amenities that we have. The livability of Cleveland is fantastic. We need to make sure that the jobs, that the core of the economy is strong. Keep it going. Thank you, that's good job, great.
I would say a couple of things. You know, what makes the city great? It's the vibrancy you see in neighborhoods, and I'm excited to see what we're doing in Midtown. I was just at their annual meeting, and Jeff Epstein there is focused on building more equitable development and making sure that you and resident voice that center of economic development. Making sure that regardless of your West Park, Old Brooklyn, or Mount Pleasant, you have a park you can go to that's well lit and safe and well programmed. Eradicating food deserts. It's a shame that in many parts of the east side, there's not a fresh grocery store you can go to get fresh fruits and vegetables. Right? And so having a truly vision city that prioritizes equity, that prioritizes inclusive development, but also having a city hall where you have a seat at the table, and your voice is heard beyond an election cycle will go a long way to make sure you stay here forever and that your children will stay here forever.
My name is Joe Violet, and of course, I live in Brooklyn. My question to both candidates is, what role will community organizers, specifically civic associations supported by student block clubs, play in your administration?
We're gonna let, Mr. Gill come first.
So, my grandma Sarah was the president of our neighborhood watch club growing up. And she's had the sign on her door that says, "I don't dial 911 for Christmas." Now, Grandma Sarah don't play. But I remember having Commander McGrath and Councilman White in my living room as a kid, organizing about how to keep my block safe at the height of the crack epidemic. That really informed my belief in terms of how I want to run the city. I want to make sure that we bring back our neighborhood watch clubs all across our community. I want to make sure that we embed activists inside City Hall because in many cases, they know what needs to be done on the front lines of our neighborhoods. But also, as mayor, I'm not going to deny the will of the people when you vote. It's about time you finally got public comment. It took us 100 years. And I won't subvert the voice of the people when it's not convenient for my political agenda as well, too. That's what being a transparent mayor is all about.
Thank you. Relying on those organizations is critical. I mean, the mayor and councilperson can't do it on their own. Old Brooklyn is strong in large part because of the World Development Corporation. I think about, my years of going to block watches and block clubs, and I have helped with Tom, all the work that she's done, and the she did, but those are the things that keep communities strong. Those are the pioneers of the community. Listening to the civic groups, listening to the feedback that we get that's happening on the street level of these items. Because we can get phone calls a lot of times, but we can do calls for service, for coming to the police. But when you are talking to someone directly, and hearing about their experience, right from their mouth, that's how you learn what's actually happening to you. Don't be a critical part of the community.
So while I know it was said before about recreation centers and parks not being, high priority, which I understand because our safety is. However, a lot of the crimes that are happening by young kids. And I know in my area, I'm very grateful that I've had Estabrook and I've had Bunny Rec Center that have had so many programs for the kids. I feel very sad that Mr. Bibb did not have the same experience at Rec Center because there's been so many different opportunities there, as well as having a movie night in Low Park, which we have once a month in the summer, for the families to get together and have different events. So I just want to know, what do you plan to do to try and make things more available for the youth to help stop some of the crime?
Are you asking for candidates? We'll start with
Thank you. Absolutely safety is job one. We have to get that over for the, but recreational amenities for our kids are essential. We need to make sure that every neighborhood in the city of Cleveland has an aspect of recreation, has a low park. We need to make sure that we're reaching out to them. The programming that we've done as a group, we're putting social work in, meeting kids where the kids are and trying to understand problems before they escalate. Understanding that things are different for kids that are 12 years old. They've seen a lot more by the time they're 12 years old than we did. We need to understand the violence that they see, the trauma that they experience, and make sure we as a city are providing them the things to succeed, the things to thrive. But again, we have to just, we cannot dismiss the idea of social connections. Community is healthy, doing a strong community for the children, for the best environment for their children. Thank you.
Really happy you brought up gunning. As a Southeast Side boy, that was my first time touring gunning a couple weeks ago, and I was amazed how beautiful that rector was. And as mayor of the whole city, it's going to be my responsibility to make sure that that equity and parity it can be available in every rec center in the city of Cleveland. That has to be our North Star to make sure that every young person in the city has the opportunities they need to succeed. Secondly, as mayor, I want to have the children's cabinet in my administration. We got representatives from the county, the Boys and Girls Club, and other social and emotional support organizations working with my administration and CMSD to make sure that every decision we make is viewed through a youth-led lens. Right now, when CMSD closes, in many cases, our rec centers are open and the pools are open. Why are pools open better in Shaker and Beechwood and Lakewood than in the city of Cleveland? That doesn't make any sense to me. And so, if we can build a city that can work for our children, if we can truly build a city that can work for everyone, and that's going to be my strategy.
Thank you.
My name is J.C. Robinson. I'm part of this union, CWA. Right now, there's a real struggle to get higher wages. And higher wages, or decent living wages, is a part of lifting families out of poverty. And I want to know from both candidates, what are you going to do about increasing wages for a lot of these struggling families?
Well, number one, I wouldn't undermine your ability to vote on minimum wage. I'll tell you that first and foremost. Number two, as the next mayor, I intend to lobby and work with President Biden and our delegation in Washington, but also work with our governor, state legislature to ensure we pass comprehensive $50 minimum wage at the county and state level. That must be a priority, and we got to get it done statewide to the state of Ohio. The other thing I would say is this: we got to make sure we are encouraging and incentivizing good employers that are going to create good quality jobs in the city of Cleveland. And that means making sure they're pro-labor, because having an economy that works for labor is an economy that works for everyone. I've seen that in my own life, coming from a labor family, and it's important that the next mayor have that be their North Star when it comes to good inclusive economic development across our city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good paying jobs are critical for families, critical for neighborhoods, critical to encourage investment in mortgages, homes, cars, all those things that build an economy. We certainly really look for a federal state leader to increase the minimum wage. But what we can really do is get people that job, the high-paying job, we do a better job of training and educating people for the jobs that are available. I have not come across a community that is struggling to get people into a apprenticeship. I have not come across a community that is turning down work. It's not like people are busy, but there's people that can take these high-paying jobs on their career. We have to fix that. And we have to make sure that our mayor never does anything that would frustrate or revoke collective bargaining rights that we should have to be positive with that. It's got to be a principle of interpersonal interaction.
Trying to keep it going.
Both candidates. You know, what's the first step to getting bring positive to every city? Every not every city, every community. Because every community don't have the same job. We have compounds being built. We have outside of that is a burden. And what is the first steps to building quality in these neighborhoods?
Thank you. Yes, please. That is a fabulous question. If you look across the city, development is not equal, but we have tools that we know work. We need to start by looking at our tax savings program. It achieved the goal that it set out to do, but it's outdated. Maybe there are neighborhoods that don't need the full tax savings, but maybe there are some underinvested parts of the city where the 15 plus or another incentive to get people to build. We also have the neighborhood transformation plan, we have a model there, whereby we set forth, the city puts the public dollars, leverage more private dollars, that results in the rental dollars, that results in that's the result of what I'm just developed. We also have the middle neighborhood initiative. Our council president, we put $1 million in there for middle neighborhoods like Old Brooklyn, where if you want to purchase a home, but you can't because of a gap in your appraisal or a gap in your ability, this fund will cover that and make sure that people that want to invest in our community have the opportunity to invest in our community. Thank you.
You bring up a real good point, man. And many parts of this city have not gotten their fair share of resources. My grandma's housing value has not recovered since 2008 in underwater. That's the same story I hear in Buckeye, Lee Harbor, Clintonville, and the list goes on. And I think it shows you that for far too long in the city, we've had a one-size-fits-all approach to economic development. Because what's going to work in Old Brooklyn is not necessarily going to work in Mount Pleasant. And so as mayor, I want to restructure our Department of Economic and Community Development to make sure we're deploying the right tools and the right incentives that reflect the nuances and conditions of all of our distinct neighborhoods. I would also say this, we do need to do a better job of retooling and evaluating our payment policies because many of our seniors can't age in place in many neighborhoods because they get with property taxes. That's why as mayor, I want to explore having long-term homeowner property tax relief to ensure we can allow those seniors to age in place and retire during their life.
I just have a question about, I know there's many important, Anne Marie Catherine. I know there's many important topics here, but the one thing that is really important to me is the environment. And one of them is the recycling program that we've been lied to about, and also, our Cleveland is becoming maybe one of the hotter spots in the whole country because we don't have natural disasters, and there's many reasons for people to come to Cleveland. But as far as like the city, the image that we leave to the rest of the people that come here to visit, it's really poor. I mean, there's litter everywhere. I grew up by the West Side Market, which I used to have a business there, and there's like if you get off at West 25th Street or 71 and you come down to where people are spending $500,000 to get a condo now, there's just litter everywhere. So I'm wondering how we can change that image and be a leader for the whole country. That's it.
Your question is about candidates?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
This is about environmental justice for our residents. This is about the quality of the air that we breathe, the quality of the water that we drink. And I think we do a couple things immediately. Number one, did you know that our power source at Cleveland Public Power is the third largest carbon emitter in the United States? The third largest. And it's undermining our ability as a country to achieve the Paris climate goals. So as mayor, I'm going to work very hard with my law director and law department to make sure we get out of this year contract and start a bit of path where CBD can be powered by renewable energy sources. That's critical. Secondly, Lake Erie. We got to make sure that we can leverage Lake Erie as an asset for the water innovation economy in the future. And talking about recycling. If I'm mayor, you won't find out on Fox 8 News that we aren't recycling. Because when I mess up, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be transparent. And it's this lack of transparency and lack of real engagement with voters that make people not want to trust government, so they don't vote.
Okay, we'll try to 15 seconds per topic. Recycling is coming back. The market crash, we really have to do public education in terms of how you properly recycle. It will be back. There's going to be a market for it. We want to create a circular market where we do recycling both. Secondly, our tree canopies. I committed $10 million for 10 years. That's by the county to make sure that we deal with our shrinking tree canopies. We're 90%. We need to do at least 33% before we can call ourselves the tree city, forest city. Solar. I put forward legislation. I've got a study that's active to do ground mount and carport solar arrays. I'm confident that if the legislation done, we can have a groundbreaking this year on solar behind me of two our own buildings, rec centers, police centers, from the water division. Finally, we started years ago, we put in place things in town for an anti-idling policy because our vehicle fleet burns a lot of carbon. So we put forth an anti-idling ordinance that is
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Maria Jackson, and so my question that I have is, how does police accountability work under your administration, and how should we do that? And it's for both. It's for both.
Police accountability is going to be very important. When you look at the number of police officers that cause most of the, that are involved in the situations that require investigation, it's a small number. Most officers, the vast majority are good, hard-working people that are good. And my philosophy is very simple. If you follow the rules, if you follow these parameters, Fourth Amendment, if you follow the police guidelines, I'm going to be back. If you step out of line, I'm going to hold you accountable. And it's really that approach that I'm going to take because I think it's only fair. But I need to make sure that they're understanding, well, my support on the front end. But those that step out of line, the rest of the officers don't like that because they think it brings everybody else down. We are going to recruit and retain a talented pool of officers. We need to make sure that they understand that those that do their jobs right are going to be supported, but those that step outside the parameters will be held accountable.
I don't want to play games with this question. We are at an inflection point in the city and this country right now as we chart the path of post-George Floyd to the city. As mayor, I'm going to make sure we have more community voices around the table like you, to make sure we get training right, we get the culture right. Number two, the current mechanism we have in place right now aren't effective to ensure we can root out the bad cops that are undermining our current police culture consistently. And so as mayor, it's going to be my responsibility to build a culture that reflects the diversity of our community and have cops in our department that reflect that diversity. I would also say this, as mayor, the buck's going to stop with me when it comes to public safety. We can't have real opportunity in our neighborhoods and real safety in our neighborhoods if our residents don't trust the police. And so that has to be the foundational point. And we got to be willing to try different things. The current system is broken. It's not working. Thank you.
I got a two-part. The first one's a statement to where you made a comment before that we need to have a way to license ATVs. They've had it in the state of Ohio for like the last 40 years. It's a 3-year license. They have to be titled vehicles, and they're still not allowed on the streets. But anyways, this question comes from Rico Dancy, who's watching online. His question is, he wants to know if citizens who are deaf and hard of hearing, whoever gets elected, will they have press conferences and everything else where you'll have interpreters to where they can communicate and hear? And this guy is coming, he's the president of the Black Lives Matter for the Deaf.
Yes.
Simple answer, yes, and thank Mr. Dancy for his question, but we have had signing of the interpreters in City and City Council meetings. We had direct signing of the interpreters that were either For anybody who is, needs any assistance in posting, any assistance in understanding what is happening in government, we'll get that. That's part of our language access plan, we sign in, that's part of our language access plan that we put in place in order to account for interacting with the
Hi, my name's Shannon. There's a lot of focus on neighborhoods that aren't succeeding, understandably so. Sometimes, other than Old Brooklyn, sometimes the issues we complain about here seem minuscule compared to elsewhere in the city. How can you assure us that our neighborhood won't be ignored because the problems aren't as serious in other neighborhoods?
Thank you for the question. Your problems are not serious, they're not minuscule, they mean everything. When there was a time when we were in the last recession, we were facing, the personnel issues. We were able to keep the car volume intact in our neighborhood because of the calls for service, because people call, because people use it, because people talk to call. It is those issues, it's that type of citizen involvement. Please don't call them smaller ones, they are so important, and as a council person, I rely on them. If the man stopped over here to play, we got most of this complaint from my office, that we told about it. It is critical, and let me say this to you. I assure you that when I'm mayor, I will never forget the people that set this around.
Your question's spot on, and I believe this is why having a modern and responsive call is so important. I'll give you an example. When you go to the doctor, they triage the issue you have, right? And then based on that assessment, they give you the intervention you need to get healthy. Right now, we're operating in 2021 with the 1980s business model at City Hall. And so we got to fix the entire system, change the culture, and make sure that at the ward level and department level, I have key performance metrics to understand how the service quality is going. Now, the level of triage may be very different in Old Brooklyn than we got to do in Mount Pleasant, but that's okay. But as mayor, I got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And my cabinet has to as well. And as mayor, I'm going to make sure we have a modern response City Hall so that your voice and your community is not forgotten as we try to double down and make sure that other neighborhoods can succeed as well. Because every neighborhood's got to succeed in the city for us to be better.
I would like to ask, part of the debate, I would like to ask each candidate their personal opinion on critical race theory and should it be taught in Cleveland public schools. Thank you, Ms. Evans.
Well, as a black man in this country, black man in the city, I think that it's important for our students to understand our history and the pain of what many people of color have gone through, but also the promise of what this country can become. And I believe that when we politicize this, it only divides us as a city and as a country. I want to unite this city, and I believe that Cleveland can be a model for America of getting this right. But if we don't know our history, then we can't know our future as a collective. And I think knowing that history is fundamental, particularly for people of color in this country, to make sure that everyone feels like their voice matters and their life matters in the city and the state.
Thank you. Let me start with the very notion that it's not being public. And I'm just concerned that this become, the issue of what grades there's something become an issue where we really don't. We need to look at, we make sure that there's proper history, we make sure that we are not sanitizing history, we make sure we are modernizing our but in terms of how this has become a political issue, I think we need to dial down the level and we need to focus on what we perspective and not let, something that is, becoming national, kind of buzzword. We need to reach out to those things. We need to put in the best education, best history, updated textbook, look at places, to come to the stats.
for both members. I know it's something not enjoyable to talk about at the time, but in Ohio, 50.6% of residents are fully vaccinated, and we are now heading back into our second minute after having vaccine for the past 4 months. What is your plan when you enter office to address in the COVID pandemic?
Thank you. I think that there have been great steps made for the vaccinated community. I think this is the best weapon we have against COVID-19. Also, let's remember, this is both a public health crisis and an economic crisis. So we really need to make sure that we are getting vaccinated. One thing I think we could have done better is I think if we look to Canada, for example, we were well and beautifully done, really we let a lot of people vaccinated. We should start at the hyper local level. Starting churches, starting libraries, starting CDCs, to set up those vaccination communities. As many people as possible. I was not going to encourage this this summer, and an elderly woman told me that she hadn't vaccinated because she was waiting for someone to tell her where to go. We have to make sure that we are getting vaccines to where people are, and we need to explore all the research to do that. We're going to get very easy to do that.
We got to do a better job in making sure that we tell the residents the importance of trusting the science, getting the vaccine, and meeting those where they are. That means setting up vaccination clinics in our churches, our barber shops, and salons, and in neighborhood places where people feel like they can be welcome and trusted. It also requires doing a better job of working with our local healthcare institutions as well to make sure we can eradicate some of the distrust that happens in our community, particularly in areas of color around taking the vaccine and why it's so important to get the vaccine as well. And then lastly, you gotta have a public health department that actually works. It's actually fully funded, has the right staffing, and has the right culture to address the public health disparity and needs of our community. We haven't had that leadership in the city for a long time.
Thank you, Josh McWilliam. Resident of Old Brooklyn for going on 4 years now, and the makeup of our community is vibrantly changing. Many more refugees and immigrants are moving in, and I'm proud of that. But I also wonder, where are the resources that we're dedicating to them to help them acclimate more successfully in our city that house itself as an international city?
Yeah, you mentioned a really good point. I think there needs to be more connectivity between the city and organizations like Old Cleveland Refugee Response. One thing I would do with our mayor is that every immigrant or refugee that comes to the city of Cleveland would get a welcome letter from me as mayor. Who you member of council, how do you access these services? How do you access your local block club or church or a faith-based organization? And I think it's that kind of culture we need to build in the city to be more inclusive and to make all of our new residents feel like this is their home and this is the place where they can start to live the American dream that has to be there.
Thank you. Ward 13 is the fastest growing integrated community with Hispanic brothers and sisters. It's really kept our population stable. In addition to refugees and immigrant populations, we really just have to work with refugee responses and a tremendous job of school, of creating an international school for students. Where that project that was funding was more follow through, I was talking to the CEO about having what would be actually the feeder school for the way, because the refugee community brings in energy to our schools, it brings in vibrancy, it brings in academic rigor, and I think we really understand to feel welcome to make sure we're reaching out to refugee communities and continue to our Hispanic community that is funding the work and thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 2 more questions.
Hello, this is Bertha Jackson again. The other question that I have is, today I went to Louisville High School, it's my job, and when I walk the halls, I barely see any students there. And it's going to be there, even with the building. So my question is, When you are in office, both candidates, what is your plans to bring our students and live within the zip code of the school back to our schools?
Thank you. We can come up with various marketing programs, we can come up with question segments. People aren't going to come back. Parents are not going to send their kids to schools unless they believe that they are going to get a great education in that field. Nothing else really matters. That's the first job. Second job, we need to make sure they can safely travel from home to that school. And that's what we need to look at, the fact that so many in this room, I had my kids in Catholic schools, charter schools, and CMSD schools. We were very happy at CMSD. But we didn't go there for any reason other than it was the best option for our daughter. Nothing else matters. No marketing program, no flyer, no nothing matters. It's a great school, it's a new school. We have to make sure that every building is performing at a level where we are attracting families to. There's really no other formula other than improving academic curriculum, improving results, and making sure that that student, that scholar, has a safe route to their home to the
I'm so happy you brought this up. I was talking to a couple of teachers, and they told me that many of their high school students are living in Amazon and other jobs, given what we're seeing in the labor market right now. I mean, not coming back to school. And so that tells me that we aren't teaching our young people in a way that's engaging them when they get to high school. And so we got to do a better job as a city to truly think differently about how we educate our young people and keep them actively engaged in the classroom. That's why, as mayor, I want to encourage every junior and senior to have a year-round internship or apprenticeship, maybe at least $50 an hour. Because that can be a pathway to middle class long term. The other thing I would say is this: all the data tells you that when a teacher looks like you and shares with their experience, you're more likely to be engaged in the classroom. So hiring more teachers of color that are diverse, I think will go a long way as well. And then thirdly, I was talking to Ted Senior the other day.
You have to fight with your traffic. That's the problem. That is
Yes, my name is Dennis Albar, I'm of course. We're a veteran-owned manufacturer, and one of the things that, in all manufacturers in Cleveland and Ohio, what are you gonna do to help the veteran-owned manufacturers and grown Cleveland manufacturers? Because me being in the speaker business, I go and look at, you go on YouTube, all those speakers came from China. All the speakers in City Hall came from China. Because we're always concerned about the lowest number, which isn't the most price effective, because it doesn't work. I've offered the former mayor, the mayor now, that, you know what, the rotunda sounds like crap. You know, everybody knows that. And I said, hey, just let me come in and do a demo for you. I mean, you must be on one of our preferred lists. I just want to do a demo. We could sell you a deal. And, oh no, you got to be on the preferred list, and we're a home-grown company.
You bring up a really great point. We gotta look at the supply chain, who we're contracting with in the city of Cleveland, make sure we are buying local from folks like you. That's critical. I was just at the Verizon plant in Lee Harbor yesterday, and they're a major manufacturing firm located in the southeast side of the city. And as we're going to see more onshoring back to the U.S., Cleveland can be that hub for smart manufacturing in the future. We got to lean into that legacy. And as mayor, I'll do anything in my power that I can to make sure we're advocating for your kind of business and other smart manufacturing firms all across the street.
Thank you. That breaks my heart to hear that, because we need to use our $1.8 billion in economic power to help places. And, we had bumps in the road, how we put contractors and vendors from the state of Ohio, and we felt this in the years well. But as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing wrong with giving extra attention to some of the extra consideration to some from Cleveland. There are plenty of reasons why you should do that. Better customer service, better warranty time, better reputation locally. While our power to choose our vendors and our contractors is somewhat I have a real complaint. I am going to hire local, I'm going to hire local vendors. If somebody wants to sue me, we do it.
We're now going to have the 2 minute closing statements from each candidate. Starting from sir, and you remember it's kind of the microphone.
Give me some time.
Well, again, I want to thank you all for having me this evening. I truly enjoyed the robust debate and discussion about the future of our city. Look, I think the key question in this election is not who the next mayor should be, but what kind of mayor we need. Number one, I think we need a mayor who understands how to do the hard work of using innovation and technology to improve basic city services. I've done it as an executive at Gallup, also done it during my time on the board of RTA. Secondly, we need a mayor who understands how to unify our city and bring people together. And we've seen that in the coalition we've been building since we won the primary on September 14th. East side and west side, black and white. That's the kind of coalition we need to move our community forward. And thirdly, we need a mayor who truly understands how to be a servant leader. Not a career politician, but a servant leader. A servant leader who listens, a servant leader is transparent, and a servant leader understands how to truly do the hard work when it is not easy. That's what's at stake in this election. And I hope you will join me in turning the page to make sure we can turn this moment into a movement to make this city a city of opportunity that can work for everybody. Thank you, and God bless. And remember, early voting starts this Thursday, October 7th, general election November 2nd. Vote for Justin Bibb, and we believe that now is the time for bold and dynamic visionary leadership, because Cleveland cannot afford to wait. We live for far too long. Thank you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to do these, always a pleasure to do in front of family, friends, and that kind of stuff. And I've never, since I graduated from college, I've never not worked in Cleveland. I've never not been on the ground and listened to people. And listened to every consumer people, whether it was when I was at West End, whether it was at social work, recovery services, whether it was counselors. I govern based on what I believe in the community. And I want to thank all of you that's called my office and let me know in certain terms. Anybody that is going to be the staff and retired city council up to. But this is a critical election. We are facing difficult situations. We're coming out of our second recession in less than 2 years. Violent crime is an unexplainable place. We can't, I'm sure maybe this was somehow slated later, but that doesn't matter. We've got to solve this now. And we need a mayor who knows how to work with people, who knows how to work together, stand in the community, and listen to people, and work with them, and work with people. I'm going to be the mayor of the field for this crime epidemic. And I'm going to have the best chief that will be hired in the United States of America that's going to be going around, that's going to make sure that police are able to do jobs that we are asking them to do. And it's going to happen on day one. And I am going to be the person in 4 years that you should hold accountable for what happened or hasn't happened about crime. Who I hire as chief, and trust me, myself, the chief I'm going to hire, I'm not going to rely on the unelected appointed board telling you how to run the police department. I'm going to do it, she's going to do it, as long as we stop doing it. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming out tonight. Thank you for your participation on it. We really appreciate you coming out. We're going to now have closing remarks from our president, Gabe Castellano.
There you have the question. Again, we'll thank you guys for the time this evening. Thank you both very much. I want to say thank you to our members who did come here tonight, and to the members of the community that came here tonight, asked all those great questions. We appreciate all your time most of all. The candidates did agree to stick around for a little bit afterwards for some one-on-one talk and, questions and stuff like that. We appreciate everyone's participation in the forums. Thank you again, Dennis, for the audio. We appreciate all your hard work in that. Joe for helping put this up, John for helping put this together. And I just want to take 1 second to recognize my union brother for the utility workers, Chris Harrison, the Vice President of Local 270. So thank you all again tonight for your time.
Exciting.
What's that?
It's exciting if anybody wants to. Well, nice job. Yeah, you know. Oh, her. Oh, my God.
Oh, okay.